Hey, what up? It's your girl Satimia back in the house on It's Fine, Everything's Fine podcast. It's been a little minute now, but we are back in business. Since I talked to you guys last, it has been a whirlwind of the devil straight attacking me. Let me tell you. It's been a crazy, it's been probably like a month and some change. I had kind of got down for a minute there because I was struggling on needing some new equipment, but we got it. We're up and running. Shout out to the mama bear because she definitely hooked it up. I think I'm going to just kick it right off with going into kind of what's been going on in my life. So we had a situation, right, where somebody literally tried to take my life. I really had never experienced no shit like that. It was a really crazy experience, and it just really like put me in a weird headspace. I had never like had somebody literally trying to literally kill me. I don't know if anybody out there has dealt with no shit like that, but if you have, I think you know it's a little traumatizing, just a little bit. Thank God I'm here today. So, thanking the man upstairs. Had everything not gone down exactly how it did, it really could have been a different situation. So I feel very blessed and highly favored to even be here today to tell the story. So I'm going to get into that. But I just want to say shout out to everybody who gave me a lot of love and support as I had kicked this off. And I'm so sorry to anybody who's been waiting to hear from me. I just had some of my own things going on. But I'm back and I'm better than ever. And I'm ready to get this cracking. So let's get it started. Let's get it popping. I'm going to start off with, just giving you guys kind of the rundown of what happened. My neighbor, so I live in a townhouse, and my next door neighbor who, I had built a really strong relationship with these people. The mother of the daughter who attempted to murder me, she was like my best friend, almost like a mother figure to me. And so that's kind of like when everything happened the way it did, and she did not have support for me. It really crushed my heart. I don't know. I think we all have probably been in those situations, right? Where we have more faith in a person's like love and care and respect for us. And when things go differently, like how much that takes a toll, on our mental health when it's just like, it's hard to find good relationships. So when you think you have one and it doesn't turn out how you expected it, I think it's a very easy thing to, gouge at your trust in people. So that's something I'm working on. Something I had to work on was not allowing that to put a breach in my trust in humanity and people, So basically, long story short, I was doing her a favor and checking in on her daughters while they were at home while she was out with her new boyfriend she had gotten. And mind you, these are teenage girls. Her daughter, who did attempt to unalive me, as they say on social media, she's been known to have a violent history, and, I was kind of trying to be a positive figure in her life. I think that may have just made her more mad. Unfortunately, just another perfect example of how you can have the best interest for somebody and it's just not reciprocated. But that doesn't mean that, you have to change wanting what's best for others, right? So with all that being said, let me tell you how God is so good and where he came into play on so many different factors. So she was on the internet, which she was not allowed to be, because another PSA for all you parents out there who got kids on any form of social media or internet access, screen time, tablets, playing Roblox, doing video games, anything. If you have a child over the age of ability to comprehend and read and write and chat, please be monitoring it, because there are so many predators out here and so many pedophiles just waiting for children, knowing that there are so many kids out here who have this unlimited access to these websites, yet nobody's supervising them. So if you are a parent and your kid has access to the internet, like, please be mindful of that, and, try to either definitely be putting limitations on screen time, because we need these kids to keep that imagination, guys. Every time they're just sitting in front of these screens all day, they're taken away from their ability to just sit and be within their own little minds. They're getting exposed to way too much too early. And like I said, they're getting exposed to these predators, because these predators are literally banking on parental ignorance. So I say all that because it ties into this story, which she was communicating with older men online, and so she was not to be on any form of electronics. And I went over there to check on her, and when I went over there, she was on the phone with a man on her tablet, and I took it from her, not snatched it out of her hands or anything. It was where I could grab it. And, she was not happy about it. I went to my house. By the grace of God, as weird as it sounds, but it comes into play, my phone died after I was calling her mother to tell her what had happened. And she was completely happy and okay with the fact that I had taken the device, because she was not supposed to be on it to begin with. And I had her completely go ahead. And so my phone died, and I went to my other neighbor's house on the other side of me and asked for a charger, by the grace of God. So there was a witness to everything, which was a blessing in disguise, because after I left over there, I went to the bathroom, and I'm taking a dump, guys. I'm going to just keep it 1,000. And I come out, and I hear doo, 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 doo on my door, and I'm already knowing what time it is, because I actually had already, just prior to this situation, about a month or so, month and some change prior, had got into a physical altercation with this same teenager because of some candy and pop. Mind you, this is a big child. This isn't like a small little 15-year-old. This is like a 220-pound, okay? I'm like 163, but I'm a ninja, okay? So I was okay. But she's a big girl, And so I already knew. I look out my window, and sure enough, she's there, but so is my other neighbor. So I opened the door because I'm like, okay, cool. Like, there's another witness to what's about to go down. I'm thinking, if anything, she was just going to try to hit me or something. This little girl came at me with a Michael Myers 9-inch steak knife. And I was like, oh, my God. Thank God my immediate, fight or flight came in, and I fought. I was like, oh my God. So, thank God I had the door in between us, and I was like, call the police. He's already on the phone. He's like, I'm already on the phone. Calling the police, and, I'm fighting. I'm trying to get this knife out of this little girl's hand. She's a little girl, but she ain't no little girl, She's, trying to get in the house, and I'm taking everything in me to be able to remove this knife without, cutting myself, or allowing her to get all the way into my house without me getting this knife out of her hand, So I get the knife out of her hand, and it was like the moment where I had the ability to have that power to have really hurt her. It was not a good feeling, It was like, wow, I've never thought I was going to actually maybe have to feel like I could kill somebody right now, And that was it was a scary and horrible feeling. And all I could think about was her mom in that moment, and it helped me just make a rational thought to be like, I'm just going to remove her and remove this. I got this knife. The knife's out of the factor. Like, I'm going to get her out of my house. So I'm trying to get her out of my house. And as I'm dragging her out of my house, and obviously I'm infuriated because I just can't even believe this shit is happening in real life. Like, this isn't a movie, guys. This is a real fucking event that just happened after I left a wholesome trip with my family at the Toledo Zoo. Which, shout out to the Toledo Zoo. If you've never been, definitely worth going. They got all types of cool stuff there. One of the best aquariums I've ever been to. Better than Shedd Aquarium. Chicago lied. There is no tunnel there. But anyways, so I just was not prepared for this. So anyways, I'm trying to get her out of my house. And as I'm trying to get her out of the house, she gets loose. And here's another grace of God moment. Well, my friend, shout out to Big Germ, he looked out and while I was out of town, had cleaned up my house for me. So there was this mop bucket right by the door. So in the midst of our scuffle and everything else, I'm dragging her out. She gets loose from me, takes the mop, hits me with it, and runs up it because it had fell out of the door, like the mop had fell while I'm dragging her out. So, but the mop bucket, so she runs back into my house because I'm like facing away from the door, trying to drag her out of the house because she did make it in my house. Like, but just in the, like, doorway area, she didn't get it all the way in quite yet. That's to come. And so she gets loose, and she runs back in the house. By the grace of God, the mop bucket stopped the door from shutting. So I was able to get back inside, and here we are going back and forth. I had just got out the shower, too, mind you guys, before, like, all this even started. So my hair's down. She gets a grip of my whole hair, and she's pulling me down. And all I'm just thinking in my head, like, I'm not just going out like this. Like, it's not happening like that. So I'm fighting for my life at this point. I get her into restraint, whatever. And I waited for the police. And the police walk in, and they just see me on top of this girl. Like, they're like, okay, like, what's going on? Like, you can get up now. I'm like, no, I'm not getting up until you come arrest her. Do you see this knife? I was like, they're like, where's the knife? I'm like, look in the kitchen. They seen it, and then they immediately came and arrested her, which was great. This is where I want to say, like, not all police are bad police. I know that there are some shady police out here, and police brutality is very real, but shout out to the good police out here that are doing their job to protect the civil people in this world because, we are adults and there is a level of necessity to where as an adult, you can't always just handle everything on your own because there are legal consequences to your actions. So we have to always all keep that in mind because as much as it's easy to be like, fuck it, I'm going to do it myself. It doesn't always work like that, and very much so can backfire very fast and very easily. So yeah, like she was under the impression as I'm holding her waiting for the police that she was like, just like, let me up. And this is where she's like, my mom says whenever I'm calm, you gotta let me up. That's ridiculous. So as a grown teenage child, this is where I'm gonna take a side note to say to people like, please, if you are a parent, take into consideration how serious it is to know how to discipline your children correctly because or else now this little girl is looking at a prison sentence already at the young age of 16 because of the heinous crime that she has committed. And we as parents have to understand how, I don't care if your child is only 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you need to understand that those crucial developmental years when you're not correctly, and there is a thin line between abuse and discipline. I know this soft parenting is like a thing. I don't fully agree with that. I think that there are times you have to whoop your child. Like me personally, I didn't say beat them till they're just black and blue or use extreme force on them. But, sometimes you got to slap a kid to let them know. Because if you don't slap them, guess what? Real life will. And real life isn't going to be gentle. And the next person, if you don't teach your kids certain things like keeping their hands to themselves and having their anger under control, like I could have killed that kid legally. because of what she did to me, right? She's lucky I was a person who's got, first of all, enough ability. Like, she could have killed me in real life, and she would have had a real murder case and would have been locked up for the rest of her little days. You know what I'm saying? All for what? You know what I mean? Because she was a lack of disciplined child, and I was trying to stop that ahead of time because I was trying to forewarn her mother, because there's been a lot of violent and heinous crimes this child has committed, and I was trying to express the severity of how serious it is to get that under control, because if a kid is not understood how to learn what discipline is and the necessity behind it, it will ruin their lives, because discipline is a necessity not only as a child but as an adult. And if you don't learn that as a kid, you will definitely not have it as an adult. And then that's where you see all types. There's so many different levels of problematic things that come from not having discipline. And I, as an adult, even understand that. You know, I'm in a transition right now in my own life of learning how to be disciplined within myself, because once you're an adult, you really have all this freedom, and there is no one but the law to discipline you. And I personally have had to learn that the hard way. And it's like, if we can prevent our children from having to experience these hard lessons of life, like, that's what our goal is, right? And we want to make them the best people that they could possibly be for not only themselves, but society. So, I think that a big part of that is, like, you know, when you are disciplining children, it's deeper than even just taking things away from them or hitting them because of the severity of the nature of punishment. But it's like, you have to explain why they are in trouble, and then you also need to tell them what they need to do differently and better. You know, it's like about it's more than just the discipline. It's the communication and the opportunity to use discipline for a learning, what's the right word I'm looking for? Like, for a learning advantage, a chance to, like, have a learning experience. There it is. That's the word I'm looking for. Because if you can't just punish kids and just punish them. That's where it almost becomes, like, abusive. Even if it is taking things from them or just making them sit in their room or whatever. It doesn't have to always be a violent thing to still be abusive, because it's like, if they're constantly getting in trouble and you're failing to explain to them why they're in trouble or what they're doing wrong, they're kids and they don't know any. I mean, that's not even just for kids, that's for adults too. Like, you have to work on communication skills in life. We all can do better at that, because 99% of the time the problem is the lack of communication. So, yeah, that was something that, like, was very traumatizing for me. And it hurt my feelings deeply, on several different levels. Just because this was a child and a family who I had adopted as my own, and really valued and viewed them as people I cherished and loved, and to be attacked not only physically but then to be shunned because of the nature, because the mother ended up turning around and saying that I sent her daughter to jail, like as if it was my fault that her daughter showed up like Michael Myers at my doorstep trying to kill me. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm in a way better mental space now behind it. This occurred over a month ago, and it took me, like, almost 2 months to feel back, like, normal again. I really started to see my mental health declining because of, like, how I was just getting really, like, I was sleeping a lot, and I actually ended up finding myself in a not so healthy relationship because I was finding comfort in just somebody I felt like I knew. And it's not that I didn't know him, but I already knew that it wasn't a good relationship, but just let my own, like, traumatic experience and sadness be the excuse to elevate a relationship, to make up for a relationship I lost in a way, right? Like, I was just trying to switch it out in a way. You know, it's like I had this person that I could rely on, I was close to, I was comfortable with. So I took somebody else and elevated them to a different position because she was filling a certain position that I lost in that moment. And doing that also screwed me over because I made a poor decision in allowing a man into my life that did not need to be there, not in that type of way. So my house was getting really dirty. That's always a sure sign that when my mental health isn't doing good, because I am a very clean person. I'm a very organized person. I think there's a place for everything and everything in its place. And it is actually like a psychological proven fact that, like your space is a reflection of your mind. And it was like every single room in my house was just dirty and cluttered. And that's not me, and that's not how I live, but that is where my mental space was, because I was so overwhelmed, and I still had some emotions and thoughts that I needed to work through and pray through. And by going through all this stuff, though, it really like strengthened my relationship with God, and I had to look at it from the positives, because it's easy to get so stuck in the negative things that happened to us. It's easy to get trapped there and feel like that victim mentality, like this happened to me, and like now, like this is what it is, like, and just get stuck in this victim attitude, like, oh, what am I gonna do, like, oh, everything's all bad and everything sucks, and I don't know how I can trust again, and I don't know what I'm gonna do anymore, and like now I don't even know how I feel. Like, I'm just anxious and I'm stressed. I can't even feel comfortable in my own house. Like, and it's just like, it's not healthy. And I'm proud of myself for pulling myself out of it. And I'm thankful for all the support I've gotten from my true family and friends that have given me nothing but love and let me like vent it. And I think that's another thing, like for me, how I get over stuff is I have to vent. And so anybody out there holding stuff in, just know that's not the right way to handle things. You have to let it out. Because if you don't let it out, it will implode. And that was something that was kind of happening, because I was venting, but I was trying to hold it in a little bit. Because it was like I didn't want to relive it. You have to relive it to get over it. You got to. You got to sit there and really think about how you felt and acknowledge it for exactly what it is, and be okay with that, and like look at it from the victor standpoint instead of victim standpoint. Like, well, at least, because I could be dead, so like I'm thankful for that. My kids could have been there. I'm thankful they were not there. It could have went badly had I not handled it the right way. I could be having a much bigger thing to sit, like I could have been suffering consequences of her actions had I not handled it the right way. Like there's just so many different things that I can be positive and thankful for, because, I was able to, I'm proud of myself because I didn't let myself get angry and make an irrational decision in that moment. Even though it was completely justifiable, I still kept myself in check and still did the right thing and handled it the right way. So I'm really proud of myself, and like I said, anybody out there that's suffering from abuse, or like anybody who's dealing with any type of traumatic situation, like it's okay to feel whatever feelings and take as much time as you need to get over it, but just make sure you get over it. That's all. Because don't let yourself be a victim, be a victor, and take the time to tell yourself positive things no matter how you feel, because the devil is a liar, and he will take things like that and be like, well, you're stupid and you should have died, or you could, you think that you're better than what happened to you. You're not, like, look at, like, you're just pathetic. Like, how are you gonna sit there and just let something like that happen to you? Go retaliate. You should, like, just bad thoughts, negative thoughts that are not of God, that are not really of you. That's the evil in the world that's trying to get in your ear. And you gotta live above that, man. You gotta do your best to just keep your eyes on the prize and refocus, regroup. And it's okay if it takes you some time. And that's why I don't really regret even how it took me a long time to get back to where I'm at right now, because I'm okay with an understanding that I needed all that time, and it was not a waste at all, that I needed to sit there with those feelings and with those emotions. I'm just super proud of myself and happy to have gotten over it. So that was kind of a catch up on what's been going on, why I have not been doing my podcast. It was a lot, my birthday, and then my birthday passed. So I kind of was partying and just like, yeah, like, 27 now, woo woo. Like, but then it hit me after like a good week of that. I was like, okay, I'm 27. It's time to be serious with my life, because I'm trying to touch my first milli by 30, baby. So, shoot, it's time to get it popping. So, I just wanted to give that little update. I think I'm going to call it a night. That was kind of a lot I unloaded. I'm going to keep this up. We're going to be doing, I'm going to try to shoot for, if not every day, every other day. I'm going to keep up on this. Please continue to give me that support on It's Fine, because at the end of the day, it's fine, everything's fine. Podcast. We'll see you later.